given when you checked in. It only takes a couple minutes to fill out. We're really looking for feedback on what we've presented here and anything that we've missed. There's going to be a raffle for an iPod Touch, which I'm told will play music. And we're going to post the winner on the Clean Fleet's website on Thursday. Additionally, you received a punch card, and we have here to your right, my left, as well as out in the parking lot, about 12 tables. And as you visit a table, they will punch your card for you. You have at least 6 punches, one of which needs to be from one of the grant tables. You get entered into a raffle for a iPad. And I don't have one, but I've seen them, and they're really neat. And again, we've got my boy there is demonstrating on the back. You can click it so that it lights up. There you go. So far, we've talked about regulations, we've talked about compliance, we've talked about funding, we've talked about the application process for grants. Now we're going to go into low emissions products offered by Velocity Vehicle Group. We're going to start off with Mark Sturdivant, who's going to talk about new trucks, and Doug Schneider, who'll be talking about buses. Bob Cole will talk about the clean and green trucks retrofit strategies. And then finally, Andy Lewis from Fleet Logic will talk about fleet maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Mark Sturdivant, again, Truck and Emission Specialist with Velocity Vehicle Group. Proud to say that I'm a 33-year sales professional in this industry, 26-year member of the California Trucking Association, 10-year member of the Board of Directors and Environmental Policy Committee. So I got to say that the industry is who I am. It's not what I do. My dad was a trucker, my grandfather was a trucker. It's pretty much what I know, it's what I do, and I'm very proud to be here in front of you guys, and I see a lot of friendly faces and customers in the room. Really our primary goal for this day is to focus on keeping you in business, because keep in mind with the on-road truck and bus rule, with the various rules, the drayage rule, the public utility rule, public fleet rule, refuse rule. Ultimately, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars, because this is not a retrofit rule, this is a fleet modernization rule, which means at some point, even if you retrofit your trucks, you're still going to have to replace it. And the Velocity Vehicle Group, we're a group of professionals in many areas from cradle to grave. So our focus, for example, as you can see on the screen with our product line, is to help you with whatever application you're going to have to fit within the regulations. And frankly, the rule starts at 14,000 GVW and larger, so any vehicle you've got, even an F-350 pickup that's diesel, is affected by this rule as a commercial vehicle. So by dealing with us as from cradle to grave, especially with our 31 sales professionals at our multiple facilities, we will help you spec your truck regardless of or within the application and vocation that it is meant for. Because I got to tell you, like we found out with Carlos, putting new technology in with drivers that are used to just driving old trucks is a very, very egregious thing. They have no idea what they are. They have no idea how to drive them. They have no idea what a diesel particulate filter is. They have no idea that they can't sit at the port in the queue and sit and idle for 5 or 6 hours, that's putting all that particulate matter into the filter. They have no idea what all the sensors are about. I mean, this is a whole new world for all of us. It's no longer just give the guy, even in truck sales, it's no longer about giving the guy a truck, selling the fleet a truck, giving him the keys and saying, okay, go to work. I mean, those days are long gone. So partnering with a sales facility and professionals that know the business, know your application, know how to spec vehicles for the proper application, and train your drivers on how to drive them within that application so you can get the most service, but yet the less issues out of that new technology, the better. And because of that, we've got more product lines than really anybody's got to offer in the industry. We've got Freightliner, which encompasses many different models, Western Star, we've got the Auto Car product. We can cover on the road, we can cover interest rate, we can cover vocational. We've got Ford, Isuzu, Fuso, Hino, Sprinter, so it doesn't matter if it's a P&D, intrastate, interstate, vocational, drayage, whether it's public fleet, refuse. We know how to cover that application, we know how to spec for that application, and we're very good at it. But once we've given you that truck, we've got the support system ongoing from today until that truck is no longer on the road to support that. This slide is very telling. A lot of people say, well, what are they doing to us? Why are they doing this? This is the federal EPA standard. We've got both CARB standards in California, but we've also got the federal standards. And if you take a look at EPA 94, that basically these boxes are where the emissions, both PM, particulate matter 2.5, and NOx. In 94, we had a different federal change. Yeah, EPA 98, we had a slightly smaller change. But you can see in regards, that was really on NOx. The PM didn't really change. EPA 02, and then when you look at EPA 07, that yellow box, you can see how drastically that changed. That was when we went to diesel particulate filters on vehicles. And then EPA 2010, we've gone down even more. Basically, we've gone down more than 100-fold in emission reduction between PM and NOx, and that's on the federal standard. So in regards to that, that's why it's so important to know about the new technologies, and certainly now from the 07 to the 010 standard, there's a lot of things that go along with that. Again, with the new 2010 standard, the federal standard is horse per brake horsepower hour and 0.01 gram per brake horsepower hour NOx. And with the Freightliner product offering, we've got the Detroit Diesel DD15, the DD13 at the 2010 standard. We've got the full Cummins product line, and these manufacturers spent millions and millions and millions of dollars in product engineering to meet the 2010 standards. And actually what effectively they've been able to do is, believe it or not, the in-cylinder, the combustion process, they actually dirtied it up a little bit, because through after-treatment process, through SCR and through the particulate matter, we're able to meet the emission standards after treatment. So we're actually getting a much better fuel efficiency out of our 2010 standard than we did even out of our 2007 standard. We're kind of getting back to when, our pre-emission vehicles, based on technology we've got after treatment, but we're doing it within cylinder. This little slide, a lot of people ask, what is SCR? How does the whole process work? First of all, what we do is you've got your engine, you've got a diesel particulate filter, and then you've got an SCR catalyst. And it uses a thing called the diesel emission fluid. Diesel emission fluid is one of the key elements involved in the SCR process. It is a non-toxic solution of 67% water, 32% automotive grade urea. DEF helps convert NOx into nitrogen, gas, and water vapor. It is stable, colorless, odorless, meets accepted international standards for purity and composition. What is urea? Urea is a compound of nitrogen that turns to ammonia when heated. It is used in a variety of industry, including use as a fertilizer in agriculture. Urea is a naturally occurring, but commonly made, and is commonly made from natural gas. So, there's some misconceptions out there about what urea is, that it's toxic, that it's contaminant. In fact, that is not true, because when it's injected into the SCR process, basically you get ammonia and you get water. That's what comes out. So, but yet it really immensely cleans up the emissions process out the pipe. Really, what we're getting to with the emissions today with 2010 is the exhaust coming out the pipe is damn near clean as the air that went into the engine. Let's go back. So, once you've got the combustion process, the exhaust leaves the engine with the pollutants with NOx and PM. The NOx is a greenhouse gas. Particulate matter is trapped in the diesel particulate filter. So that's basically the same filter that we've seen with the 07 technology. And those of you like Carlos that have got guys, 50 or 60 of them with the 07 technology, those of you in the room, there may be public fleets that have had this for quite some time. You realize that there's a lot of negative issues with it, especially with idling, with driving techniques. There's some little rules like called the 40-40 rule. You want to keep the idling under 40% of the time. You want to keep the load over, if you can, on a local basis, 40% of the GVW. In other words, you want to. what we run into with a lot of fleets that don't understand this is they'll load the truck light, they'll run short routes, so they never really generate any heat. And without heat, that's how the engines really run efficiently, burn fuel efficiently. Thus, if they're not running efficiently, they're putting more particulate matter into these filters. And ultimately, these things are trapping 99% of what goes into the filter. So there's, really it's behavioral training with these guys, having the right spec vehicle, the right vehicle for the application, and teaching these drivers how to drive it most efficiently, not only for fuel economy, but honestly to keep the emissions from going into those filters, because ultimately if they plug up, it creates back pressure, there's sensors, they can derate the engine, there's a lot of negative things that go along with that. So once the exhaust goes through the particulate matter filter, DEF is injected into the exhaust stream. DEF solution hydrolyzes into ammonia gas, NH3, which mixes with the exhaust, goes through the SCR catalyst, and when it comes out, basically it's ammonia and it's water. So, one of the really neat things as you see with these 2010 trucks is that a year down the road, we all know that on an older diesel engine, one thing you don't want to do is stick your finger in the exhaust because it's going to come out completely black, right? Well, a year down the road, you can take one of these new technology trucks, you can grab your finger around it and come out. You might get a little bit of rust, but you'll get no particulate matter, no black soot on your finger. That's pretty amazing. And that was shown in that chart where we're going down to where the exhaust is coming out so clean. That's the federal mandate. And now with CARB, they've got their own rules. But ultimately, once you retrofit a vehicle, at some point between 2014 and 2017, it's going to have to be replaced with another vehicle. And in regards to that, now keep in mind that there's a lot of you in the room that used trucks has been your business model forever, okay? That's fine and well, but the problem is in 2006, we had a huge pre-buy of vehicles to beat the 07 emission standard, okay? So there were 262,000 vehicles sold in 2006 of pre-emission vehicles, actually in 05 of 06 vehicles, and in 2006 with the 2007 engine standard, there were only 92,000 vehicles sold nationwide to meet that standard. And now what we're seeing is that fleets, because of the economy, are keeping their vehicles longer. So because of that, we're getting compliant trucks with a lot higher miles that, and in some instances, will not have the best maintenance cycles on it. We've certainly seen that with a lot of used trucks to where we've already had diesel particulate filter failures, immediate cleaning processes needed. So if used trucks has been your business model, you're really going to have to look at that, because between now and 2014 in the state of California, there's 498,000 vehicles that fall under the on-road truck and bus rule. Think about that, 498,000. 14,000 GVW and larger. Okay, there's not enough used trucks in the nation to fit just California's needs. There was a huge pre-buy of pre-emission trucks, so now we've got a diminished inventory of used. We've got a huge rule coming in the next 4 years. So at some point, new trucks is going to have to be the process. So make sure that whatever vendor you use knows what they're doing, knows the rules, knows the application, and knows how to spec a vehicle that will meet your needs. On the chemistry, it's all pretty technical, but then again, it's pretty simple. They've got this pretty well down pat. The only manufacturer not going to SCR technology, frankly, is Navistar. And those of us that have been in the industry our whole lives certainly question that theory, because I know that when we went to the just straight EGR systems in the 2003, 2004, certainly the 2004 engine standard, it's gotten to the point where that EGR system is basically a maintenance item, and what I would term would be a nominal EGR, and now they're going to what they consider extreme EGR. I would certainly have to question that for the life and for many different applications. And people ask, well, on the urea, how long is that? How does it work? How long do I have to? How much do I have to put in? What does it cost on a cost basis? You're talking about anywhere from $3 to $4 a gallon, depending on whether you buy it by the gallon or you buy a bulk, and actually get under $3 a gallon. For example, there's different tanks that we can spec with the vehicles. If we spec a 6-gallon tank, which typically would be a local intrastate application, the little 6-gallon tank would go 1,800 miles. 13-gallon tank would go 3,900 miles, and a 23-gallon tank would go 6,900 miles. And if you look, the assumption's 2% DEF consumption and a rate of 300 miles traveled per gallon. So it only uses a very slight amount of urea through the SCR catalyst to meet the emission reductions federally that are mandated by the federal EPA. And that's it for my talk.